Everyone, and welcome to our daily word this morning. I was wrong yesterday. Yesterday's daily word was 758. Today is daily word number 759. Either way, I'm glad that you always choose to join me in this long journey together as we share scripture in our lives and how scripture applies to us and what that all means for us as we move forward in life. So we've reached the end of another week. And it's good that we can share our lives together in many ways this week. So I've chosen for our scripture some interesting words from the psalmist, 139, verses 16 through 17. And we hear these words: "How weighty to me are your thoughts, O God! How vast is the sum of them! I try to count them. They are more than the sand. I come to the end. I am still with you." I overheard a conversation in a restaurant earlier this morning with a man and a woman, and they were talking pretty loud, so I don't know that they cared that anyone else heard, but they were talking about aging and self-worth and what they could do and couldn't do. And they were lamenting, and I get it. I lament a lot about what I can do and what I can't do. And their conversation went on for a long time. And they kind of left the restaurant. I was still there finishing my cup of coffee, a little disgruntled. They didn't finish their conversation. I had this scripture in front of me, and I got to thinking about their conversation and the whole of our lives, and what it means, to how we lament sometimes when we can't do what we want to do, and the struggles that we have in life. And then the psalmist gives us these interesting thoughts to think about. How weighty to me are your thoughts, O God. Have we ever thought about how God thinks about us? How God ponders our lives? If we really want to make that very personal. Because I think in the moments when I lament the most, yesterday was a tough day physically for me. I couldn't walk very well at all. I was in a lot of pain. I'm a little better today. But I thought about that, and when I get in those moments, I ask God to help me, and I sometimes wonder where God's at. Why aren't you helping me more? You know how that works, right? The list goes on and on. Then there's this reminder. God, what does God think about me? And the psalmist says, how vast are the sum of those thoughts? I try to count them, and those thoughts of God about me, about you, about our self-worth, about our preciousness in the eyes of God. We are God's creation. The psalmist says, I think about all those things, and they're more than the sand. That's an incredible thing to think about, that God's thoughts about us are more than the sand. I think we sometimes think of God as far off, and we're going to talk a bit about it on Sunday, about Jacob's ladder, the story of Jacob's ladder, and this idea, for me, that ladder represents for me that heaven and earth are uniquely connected to each other. They're not separated by this vast escape of space, but that God is present with us. If you read the scripture, what we're going to hear on Sunday, God doesn't stand at the top of the ladder and talk to Jacob, but God stands beside Jacob and talks to him. And the psalmist reminds us that God, this very God, is present with us in all kinds of ways. If I count them, they are more than the sand, the psalmist says. I come to the end, I am still with you. I come to the end, and I'm still with you. I think in all of our lives, we need that reminder for us that in all that we do, and all that we say, and all that we are, and all the challenges of our life, and all the difficulties of our life, and the many things that we struggle with, we in our family, the kids especially, have been struggling with cars, check engine lights, and all kinds of things that need repaired. And we've been trading cars and use this car and trying to figure that out and get it into the shop. And those things are so difficult. It doesn't seem like it until it happens to you. And then of course, kids get sick and parents get sick, and we just try to figure all of that out, right? And we lament. But God's thoughts about us, God's presence with us is weighty. Not in a bad way, not in a way that forces our shoulders down, but weighty in a way that reminds us that God's thoughts of us are vast. And in the end of the day, the end of the hour, the end of the struggle, the end of a work week, the end of our life, we come to the end, and God is still with us. But importantly, the psalmist says, I come to the end of counting all those ways that God is present with us. I come to the end, I am still with you, the psalmist says about God. And I think that's a reminder that all of us need, that God is with us to the end of the counting, of the minute, of the hour, of the day, of the week, of the month, of the year, of the struggle, of the joy, of the difficulties, the end of our life, we're still with God. And that's an amazing thing. And that's a gift that you and I are given today. Because you see, we're about to end our time together today. And this week, of all these daily words, we're at 759. And at the end of this today, we are still with God. And that's great news for us. And that assurance is powerful. So I hope you'll take that daily word, this word is personal, and just count the weight of the thoughts of God about you. And to know that God is present with you in all of your life. So that's our word for today. I pray it's a good word for you and for me as we go into the weekend. Hope you'll join us Sunday morning at 10:15 for worship. Like I said, we're going to hear the story of Jacob's ladder. Of the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob is the one that his story is intriguing. Eventually his name gets changed to Israel. Well, it's just an amazing story. So I hope you'll join us at 10:15, either in person or here on Facebook Live. And then, of course, Monday morning again here at 10 o'clock. Have a great weekend. Know of God's love that surrounds you. Know of my love for you.